Welcome to a random and interesting video here on ShopDog-Garage, in which I've been told we're looking at a pressure washer, trying to get a damper out of here so that we can get new material for it, and who knows what else. Kind of coming through. Let's see how this goes. On the list of things to look at, here, let's get that out of the way a little, is a dual clutch. We set a seat in the 55 a few weeks ago and determined that with the injury to his back, Harlan would struggle with our current single disc setup in the 55, and that doesn't sound safe. So we talked to McLeod, we talked to Ram, we tried to talk to a couple others who didn't want to talk to us, and we decided to go with the Ram Concept 50-2125 dual plate clutch, mostly because you can see on the second plate and the floater that it is a sprung hub. That was one of the things we wanted to, and that it's organic, which is one of the other things we really wanted for how this car is going to be used. But this should severely reduce the amount of pedal effort and still keep all the clamping force we need for that blown big block. But yeah, so look for this in a future video. Alright, Harlan is not here yet. I don't know what the complaint is, but honestly, if we're having an issue or one of these little motors doesn't run after it's been in storage, we're pulling that and cleaning the main. Alright, I just went ahead and pulled the bowl, which is dry. And a lot of times what happens is this little jet gets clogged. There's usually a few other spots that get clogged, but that's one of the biggies. Modern Fuel sits in there, so we're going to take a little wire and clean that out. Alright, so we cleaned the carburetor up, cleaned out that jet. It didn't look terrible, but you never know. We'll give it a little choke. It is kind of warm out. There's no primer, bulb, or anything on it. Should just start. Oh well, actually we can see it has fuel. You know. So that is throttle down, throttle up. So it should start right in here. I don't want to run it very long without water in the pump. What am I missing? Oh, okay. Okay. Alright, what am I missing here? Choke forward. Runs fine. Okay. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. Now that that's done, the next crazy thing we got to do is figure out how to get this apart. We've done it on other things, and they built it, so it has to be able to come apart. It may be destructive, but it looks like the rod should just slide through when you kind of look here. We'll show you better in a minute. Okay, so just to remind ourselves which way this goes, this flew up. It's opposite of that. It probably doesn't matter, but better keep track. Well, just pounding it. It's obviously not doing it. See how it's folded here? Oh, this is a practice one. And it didn't come out there. It's because it's crushing here and folding. So, that is not how those come out. I got a feeling we got to lift those little tabs. Nothing's easy. That thing's actually welded to these in 4 places, as well as all these little clamps. We're not sure how this is intended to come apart. Well, that's crazy. That spot weld and that spot weld and that one and the one right here. Holy cow, those were on there. So that obviously wasn't going to just fall off. It was not ever intended to come apart. Not a service item. here is our theory of the case on how these were built. I've straightened them up enough to help me understand. But out on a bench, somebody laid these little felties down. And these, you know, one side had the tabs up and the other side received, and vice versa. They laid them down there, played the tab game, got the tabs all pressed. There was a channel here, obviously with a couple of little holes in it. They slid it inside the tube, you know, held it in there, and then slid this rod in. And then they must have had a jig or an alignment spec or something where, you know, this was at some point, this was at some angle, and then they reached in and welded it. Not sure how. At first I thought it was like a long reach spot welder, but I don't think so. It could have still been, but it just doesn't feel right. But either which way, before we take the one we're going to use apart, and oh my god, I bet there's two of these, because one for each side, before we take one apart for real, knowing how they go back together is going to be critical. On this one, with it pulled all the way up, my shortest travel from that to that center hole is 2 1/4 inches. My furthest travel is 3 3/4 inches. I don't know how critical that is, but it's got to be that way for a reason. Looking at it further with these holes, I think what that gave them is the chance to reach in with pinchers and do it. You can see there was a weld here and there, just like there was a weld right here, and if I turn it, you can see right there. I think there was some kind of offset spot welder that reached in there and did that. Obviously, we're not going to be able to replicate that, but, you know, we'll have to see what we can do. The hard part, though, is figuring out where it's welded and figuring out how to get it apart. Because this method kind of one time. Immediately, we have one more tester here. But when we're looking in here, let me grab a pointer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, no, this is a tester now. That's how this works.
That's
when we look in here,
the other one.
this looks like a weld, and we obviously see a weld here. And when we flip it this side, I know you guys can't see as well, but you can see, eventually, there's a big spot of weld right here, and a big flat spot right here. So, just like the other one, there's definitely 4 spots on here. We're going to see if we can grind that down a little. We just used the finger file, ground it down where we thought the welds were, and now, I do believe, she'll just pull right out. Look at that. So, yeah, move that independent. So, we got to get it off the vise, and I bet that'll come right out. Almost blew it. From this position, from that crank to that center hole, is at some weird angle. Easier to see like that. Is also 2 1/4 inches. And then when we have it all the way closed, now slide her all the way forward, and that should be like 4 3/4 inches. If it is, it's very, look at that, that's 4 1/4. So, okay, so center hole to there. When she's closed up, it's 2 1/4. That's what we need to know. Let's try that on this one now. So, we know there's weld there. We'll look again real close and get those ground down. You know, what's the worst it can be? We got to buy more of these things. All right, now that we have these out, you just lift those little tabs like these. We'll straighten them straight up. Same on this side, and then it just comes right apart. There. So, another pile of stuff to get sandblasted. All right, I got to remember to be careful because, that thing always scares me. But you can see he's been working these doors. It's really coming together nice. He's still got a lot of work down here yet, but I'm confident he'll get there. A little bit of welding to do here. That's starting to come out pretty nice though. So, yeah, unfortunately, as we've learned on the rocket ship, aftermarket stuff sucks. So if you can fix a factory thing, you should. Interesting thing to note, on a 55, the dimmer switch is out here. Although you notice 57 still has that weird e-brake. But on this 57, and I don't know about 56, look at this cute little bracket they made to hold the standard dimmer switch. That's pretty neat. And you can see that was it for circuits right there. There's your fuses. Just a handful of them on a board stuck to the side. That's it. 7 circuits going out there. A couple more going out a hole up there. There just isn't a whole lot going on these old cars. Not sure what we got going on there. It looks like a reverse switch. So we got reverse lights. But yeah, just not a lot going on. You can see that's the whole wiring harness. Just nothing much. Okay, we need to pull this deck. Well, there's a definite wobble here, but more importantly, there's not much belt left. Just to remind myself, obviously pulled the front track. You can see where that was hanging. And the gauge slider went up to this pin here. Getting ready to pop that, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Should be able to slide her right out from under. Okay, and if it's like most tractors, I should just be able to roll her forward, pull the belt off the sheave, and slide her clean out. Okay, and with that, she slides right out. And yes, we could have pulled pins here too, but then they're dangling and you're fighting them. It's just easier to have them lay down. But you can see, obviously a bad bearing here. Belt's not great. Little play in that idler. That one's not too bad. We're going to check what the sheaves are like though. Okay, and I don't know. It's going to be subtle. But do you hear this? That's bad. That one's still good. That one's good. Well, there's some play in that one. The bigger thing is, boy, she's hitting everything in the world with this. So these are going to have to be replaced. It's got so hot that the grass around it was burning. I can smell it and I can see the smoke. I don't know if it's obvious, but there's a slight mismatch here. Just a little. You may ever so slightly notice that might have machined itself away. Holy monkeys. Alright, conveniently, all these parts are available. $150 and you get 3 new spindles, both of the idlers, both of the little idlers, the giant idler, the one with the goofy bearing that doesn't want to come off, a new belt, and 3 new blades. So I think that's the direction to go there. Wow, that grommet was hard as all get out. This one ain't much better. I actually had to chisel this one out a little. Alright, so the grommet on the other side, just as crunchy, just as hard. It's weird. You'd think these things would last more than 70 years, but nope, you gotta chisel them free. This might as well be cast plastic now. But, gotta do it. Sure built things funny back then. Look at that. Like a little interlocker system. Very, very strange. Well, we had promised that this would be a random interesting video, and boy, we worked on a little of everything. So, we just took a few things off the 57. The heater core came out. It's a very strange setup. Hood hinges are off. We've identified the parts we need. Gotta do it. Of course, it's funny. They've been complaining that it smelled like it was overheating. Well, grass was catching fire from the hot bearing.
I wasn't complaining.
Well, no, but wasn't going to call your wife out on video. But no, so anyway, it's been a long day. Thanks for watching. We're going to hand it over to old ShopRex. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next week. This has been another ShopRex approved video.